All right, everybody, what's going on? Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Still basking in the glow of yet another Seattle Seahawks victory. And now that the week of NFL football is over, we can take a look at the playoff machine on ESPN and try to get a feel for what that game really meant, what the last week of NFL action really amounted to, and understand exactly where Seattle is. And first of all, let me just go ahead and lead with this because this is the big thing. And I think pretty much all Seahawks fans already know this. But with Green Bay's victory over Chicago on Sunday, it is now official that Seattle is in complete control of their own destiny as it regards the number one seed in the NFC. If they win out, nothing else matters. They will get the one seed and get that first round bye. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today. Get to it and go have some fun with sports this year. If you go through the playoff machine right now, and I already did this before I started recording the video, but you go through the remaining 4 weeks, you have Seattle win out, which is what I did here, and then in every non-Seattle game, I basically picked chalk, the favorite, or whoever I imagine the favorite will be, except I gave every win possible to NFC contenders. Like any team that is either an NFC playoff team or a playoff contender, I gave the win in any game they played. I gave the NFC West rivals that we have, the Rams, the Niners, every win that I could. They took priority. And even with that, even with me doing that, with me saying that every other game goes the wrong way for Seattle, Seattle remains the one seed. So, hey, you can't ask for much more than controlling your own destiny. And I think that most Seahawks fans came to terms with the fact that after the Rams lost to the Panthers a couple of weeks ago, this is going to be what it took. You would have to win out. And I do believe that is likely the case. Now, obviously, I think this is kind of a very obvious thing to say. If you look at Seattle's remaining games, if they lose, okay, let's say they lose the Rams game, then they lose the one seed, they lose the division, they're the 5 seed. But you probably already knew that. If you go to let's say week 18, because that's the other really important Seattle game against the 49ers. If the Seattle Seahawks lose that game and the Niners win it, then they lose the division and actually fall to the 6 seed with 13 wins. So you can see that voice crack. Wow, you can see that even a single slip up, not only does it send you out of the 1 seed and out of the division lead, but also might send you to the 6 seed. And I know this is the part where everybody says, well, Philadelphia is a dead team walking. You can easily go into Philly and blow them out. And, maybe that's true, but I think we'd all rather have home playoff games. And I think we'd all rather have top seeding if we can get it. Now, if Seattle were to lose, like the only thing I change is that Seattle loses the Carolina game, then Green Bay takes the 1 seed, the Rams take the 2 seed, and Seattle falls to the 5 seed. So as you can see here, 13-4, 13-4, the Rams come out on top here. Let me flip that back. Now, this seems silly. I understand. This seems very, very much like a waste of time because I don't know how this would even happen. But for the sake of argument, if the Seahawks lose to the Colts, then the same thing happens. Seattle falls to the 5 seed. So any one loss will not only make it so you don't control your own destiny, but it also makes it pretty darn likely that you're going to be a wild card team, even if you get to 13 wins. And there are ways out of this, but they're getting a little bit harder to imagine. Like, just as an example, let's say Seattle loses the Carolina game, because theoretically, of the 3 last games we play, that's the game that you're most okay losing. It's not a division rival. It's not a team that you've already lost to earlier in the year. It's not a team that you're going to be in direct competition with for a playoff spot. You lose to Carolina, you're like, okay, you're going to be upset, but it doesn't seem that bad. But again, like we just said, it sends you down to the 5 seed regardless. And what do you need to happen then? You would need the Rams to lose one of their remaining games. Well, they play the Lions at home. Lions very, very beat up right now. By the way, this is with us beating them already. So you're already penciling that in. You're already saying Seattle beats the Rams in week 16. You've got the Rams playing the Falcons on the road. Good luck with that. And then you've got the Rams playing the Cardinals in LA. Really good luck with that because Arizona, not only are they bad, not only are they losing, but they are incredibly beat up as well. And I don't think there's much interest on their part in getting their players back on the field because, what does it really matter at this point? So your only real opportunity there would be for Detroit to beat LA. And look, if that does happen, then yeah, you take the division back from LA, you get the 2 seed, and you're playing Detroit in the first round in this scenario, which, okay, fine. I don't mind playing Detroit in the first round at all. I'll take, if it's the Bears, like let's say the Bears win the final game of the year against the Lions, then, well, excuse me, I actually already had that. Wow, I must have had the Bears getting beat up in some of these other games. Yeah, because they play the Niners. Huh. Wow, okay, so I got the Bears beating the Lions in week 18 and still getting left out. I didn't even realize that. Yikes. Brutal. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is that that's what it would take at that point. You would need the Lions to come through in the biggest way imaginable for you in week 15, and I just don't know how much I think that is a likely possibility. That Detroit team is on their last legs. The Rams, they already kind of sort of had a trap game when they lost to Carolina. I know that wasn't really a trap game, but from their perspective, it feels like it kind of is. So it's asking a lot. So you lose that game and LA wins out. It doesn't matter that you'll have split and you have the same record. They have the tiebreaker. And at this point, I don't know if there's a ton you can do to undo that. Like, I don't think you can flip any switches to create a strength of victory tiebreaker. I don't think you can flip enough switches to get like a strength of schedule tiebreaker. It's thin. At best, it's thin, and I think more likely is that there's just not that much you can do. Now, look, we're Seahawks fans. We've watched this team all year. We know that this team is very, very good on the road, and they are fully capable of winning games on the road. So a wild card is not the end of the world. It's not. A wild card is not a death sentence for this team. There are certainly Seattle teams in the past where a wild card spot was basically a death sentence because those teams did not play as well on the road, but this team, they got no problem with it. So let's explore how uncomfortable things could get, right? Because look, I'm not really going to talk about this Colts game too much because if we lose that game, then all the air is going to be let out of the balloon. I don't think people are really going to care that much. They're just going to be sitting there thinking to themselves, well, I guess we're just going to get drilled in the playoffs now anyway. If we can't beat the Colts with freaking Phillip Rivers at quarterback or whoever it's going to be, then what is there to even talk about? So, look, Seattle's going to beat the Colts. Let's just go ahead and pencil that in. And if we somehow lose that one, then none of this matters anyway. But what if, let's say, Seattle, okay. I have them beating the Rams right now. I have them losing to the Panthers, then beating the Niners. What if they lose to the Panthers and the Niners? What if I flip that final result? Well, now the Niners get the 2 seed, which gives Shanahan coach of the year for the next decade if that happens. But yeah, San Fran 2 seed, LA 5 seed, Seattle 6 seed now. So still a playoff team, right? Still in there, still in the fight, but you're not thrilled about where you are at that point. And just to go ahead and present the worst case scenario, okay, let's say you lose to the Rams as well. Let's say you lose your last 3 games of the season, which, again, that would be something that, if that happens, I think most Seahawks fans would kind of be pretty checked out when the playoffs hit. I know that's weird to say, but I think a lot of Seahawks fans would just kind of be waiting for the hammer to fall. However, even in this scenario, and remember, I gave every win possible to other NFC contenders. You still get in. You're still going to get it. Now, you're going to Green Bay in round 1. That's not fun. I don't want to do that. That's probably going to end poorly, but you're going to get in at that point. So as long as the Seahawks beat the Colts in Week 15, you're at least going to get a seat at the table. It's not going to be a great seat if you can't find a way to beat these better teams down the stretch, but it's going to be a seat. By the way, if we flip that, then yeah, we don't even need to talk about this scenario because yeah, that's too ugly to imagine, but it is feasible. It is theoretically possible Seattle misses the playoffs totally, but that's that's just not something I can even think about right now. I'm sorry. I'm not going to think about it until it actually happens. So anyway, let's flip these games back. Let's say Seattle beats the Rams. Seattle beats the well, let's say the Panthers still win, and then we beat the Niners, because those are the games we really need to win, because they're teams we've already lost to, teams in our division. You guys know the drill. You got to beat those teams at some point. If we don't beat those teams, then I think we all understand that we're clearly not on that upper tier like we might be thinking we are right now. But what else could happen that could maybe push things in our direction? What else would it take? Like, again, you need the Lions to beat the Rams somehow this upcoming week, which is a lot to ask, but the Lions are not bad. So I'm not going to sit here and say it can't happen. But the nice thing is, in order to get back into the 1 seed with 13 wins in this situation, all you would need to do is have Green Bay lose 1 game. And right now I have Green Bay beating the Broncos, which honestly, not super likely. I think Denver is actually going to win that game. So there is a little bit of breathing room here. Now, other than that, Green Bay is playing the Bears. They could definitely lose that game. And then you've got Green Bay playing the in week 17. Where's that Green Bay logo? Oh, the Ravens. Probably not, but I guess the Ravens aren't terrible. And then we got the Packers in the final week of the season playing the Vikings. Not something that I'm really willing to feel great about. But the point I'm trying to make is, I guess if you do get a big favor from the Rams in I'm sorry, from the Lions against the Rams this coming week, then you can afford to lose 1 game and still get the 1 seed, and you probably will, because like I just said, I don't think Green Bay actually wins out. I just did it for the sake of the exercise. And that's one thing that's nice about what's happened with Philly and Tampa. Those teams have fallen off so hard that you don't really have to worry that much about them getting the 1 seed or even the 2 seed. It's just Philly's probably going to get 3 free wins to end the season, which guarantees them the division. But in terms of them being like a threat for the top seed, super unlikely at this point. That's one thing that's pretty nice. I know that we wanted Philly to lose last night. They did. And some people might be thinking, well, it doesn't really matter that much. And you're probably right. It won't. But this is a scenario where it's really nice that Philly has gone to pieces and that Tampa has gone to pieces. Because remember, Tampa Bay has the tiebreaker on Seattle. So that's the playoff machine right now. That's the situation. It's not bad, man. It's pretty favorable, but we do kind of have to win out. See you guys later. Go Hawks.